Everyone, this is Brian, and I would like to present some of my findings from my research. As you already know, I've taught mostly in international schools, and for that reason, I wanted to focus on some aspect of language in this setting. And the first thing I found was that there's not a lot of research in the field of sociolinguistics regarding international schools, so there's a definite need for it. Even more so considering the proliferation of English as a global language and the recent boom in international schools around the world, which is what I'm going to be presenting today. So my research centers around identity and dialect awareness amidst the spread of English around the world, specifically in international schools, and it's going to be a proposal for a project. Um, Many of the readings that I refer to in my paper are theoretical, but there are some interesting numbers that I want to present here involving international schools around the world. So this first graph shows, This first graph here shows the matriculation of international students to the United States and the UK. These numbers are significant when you consider the state of English and dialect in the United States and the debate about standard English and in higher education, as well as the bigger picture of world English. So as you can see, there are a high number of students from India and China who are getting education in the United States, universities and colleges. Number from China is increasing. Number from India pretty much staying the same in the United States, dropping a little bit in the UK. But as you can see, there are a high number of students who are going to study abroad. Now, many of these students do come from the ever-increasing pool of international schools that are serving the students in these countries and that are attempting to prepare them for this educational experience in U.S., UK. So if you look at the boom in international schools around the world, 1964, 50 years ago, there were 50 schools, and these schools were primarily started to serve the children of expats who were living overseas. Gradually, these schools grew to include more and more nationals, and then other expats that are in the global community. And as globalization spread, 1,020 years ago, in 1995, and now in this very global society that we live in, there are 7,200 international schools around the world, roughly. Um, so of these 7,200 international schools, they're serving 3.6 million students, and they're in 238 countries. Now, 20% of the students are expats from a variety of different countries. So that means that 80% of these students are nationals. This means that there's just a wide variety of languages and dialects being spoken in these environments. This data is from the International School Consultancy Group's website, and the ISC. They predict that in 10 years there will be 10,000 international schools serving about 6 million students. So this trend is only going to increase. So the mix is going to get even more diverse. So just a quick look at some of the figures for perspective here. The 7,200 schools. So 439 of them are in the UAE, 421 in China, 356 in India. Okay, if you look in Europe, there are about 200 in Spain, 167 in Germany, 150 international schools in the Netherlands. Africa, Egypt has the largest number with 164, Nigeria 120, and 58 Kenya. In the Americas, you have 160 in Argentina, 129 Brazil, and then 121 in Mexico. Interesting to note, there are 67 international schools in the U.S. So what does this mean, and what does it mean to be an international school? According to the ISC, an international school teaches in English wholly or partly. They're independent, and they're located in a non-English speaking country. But what's not revealed in these numbers is the range of dialects and languages spoken at these schools. So my focus is on the American International School in Riyadh, specifically, and so looking at American international schools and their characteristics. There are roughly 200 of them at the moment in 138 different countries. And increasingly less of the population constitutes American citizens abroad, as with the numbers that you saw in the other international schools where 80% are nationals. This number is increasing, and also the number of other expats is increasing. So, but what hasn't changed in most of these schools, and all of them that I'm aware of, is the curricular focus. So, all of these schools have IB or AP programs, or both, and most of them are adopting the Common Core. And in the Common Core, standard English is the benchmark. So, the paradigm is standard English, and I think that that is contributing to bias, much like what we read about in the last book that we were studying. So there's a need to promote dialect awareness and reduce the effect of bias and prejudice for both students and teachers. For example, students, and not just ELL students, but students who speak other dialects and have different accents are made fun of. Their self-esteem suffers. Teachers who have strong accents or speak different dialects generally just have more discipline problems. And so there is a bit of prejudice, dialect prejudice. So my proposal is to do self-study and look into identity, native language speaker, non-native language speaker stigma, ownership of the language, dialect bias, and also consider testing policies and the instruments we use. In most of these schools, culturally biased tests like the ITBS are still used to measure progress in these populations. So that's just a small portion of some of the numbers from my studies. I look forward to hearing all your voices and commenting on your projects. It's been a good semester. Thanks for all the great feedback, everybody. Take care. See you on down the road.